Do you remember the old saying, guns don't kill people, people kill people? Well, allow me to render the same notion in modern parlance. Guns don't protect people, people protect people, and increasingly the American trust is in armed civilians more than it is in the feds and the police when it comes to mass shootings. So states a new survey that favored those pistol-packing people over their brethren bedecked in badges by 41.85% to 25.1% for local police and just 10.3% for federal agents. And of course, 22.8% of people surveyed said none of the above, because burying one's head in the sand never results in getting your ass shot off. But let's face it, you don't have to probe too deep into our collective psyche right now to understand why public trust in armed police and feds is down. When you go from the absolute debacle that was Uvalde, Texas, to the heroic efforts undertaken by Elisha Dickin the other day at the mall in Greenwood, Indiana, you get a clear example. I mean, you could pretty easily see this as a moment for America to look at the camera lens and just say, duh. I mean, we don't take what police officers and even feds do lightly on this program, and we honor their sacrifice, but that doesn't mean that we've forgotten where those folks come from. And this wouldn't be me waxing eloquent if I didn't attempt to probe a little deeper. I always try to go a little deeper, if you know what I mean. Folks, we need to go no further down the primrose path of injurious executive fiat than to examine the fallout from a Carter-era decision, the one which labeled police, EMTs, and firefighters as first responders. Now, if you listen to Glenn Beck, you've undoubtedly heard him talking about this. It seems like a minor thing to point out that the first responder in a crisis situation used to be the person who was standing closest to it, but it's not. It's not a minor thing at all anymore, because that's how quickly a society can be brainwashed out of understanding its responsibilities. Police are a necessary and important thing in society, but they are not to be thought of as the first responder to anything. Because here's the deal. At the point where you have enough police to be able to respond to any crisis first, you have way too many police. But of course, by the time you realize that, it's too late, and you have yourself a dangerous place to live for other reasons. Now, maybe you don't like guns. That's okay. Nobody's going to force you to own one, although that hasn't always been the case everywhere in America. But this is 21st century America, and we're reasonable. You don't have to carry one if you don't want to. But don't try to keep me from it, because I'm a first responder. I am a first responder. So is that lady next to you with the pistol strapped to her thigh. Do they still do that? I don't know. And so is grandma with a .357 Magnum and some, where there's candy in her purse. An armed society isn't a polite society. It's society at its best. Because it's a society that acknowledges the power of suggestion goes a long way towards prevention. By and large, most people don't enjoy the prospect of being shot, so they're a hell of a lot more likely to behave themselves in a society that will collectively end them post-haste should the need arise. So we've got to get the American people back to believing in this notion. Applaud and pray for your police, but remember that our citizenry has the bigger hand in shaping our future and keeping ourselves safe. What that guy did the other day in Indiana was impressive. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And that isn't always how it goes. I get that. But, we had the deal over white settlement at the church.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Where the dude came in there and shot somebody and, bam, got his head blown off.
Yeah, you don't want to do that in a Texas church.
You don't.
There's always someone packing.
You don't. And
multiple people usually,
like,
especially in small towns.
Like, you don't want to walk into the Waffle House in Texas.
No.
And start...
No.
Fooling about.
Yeah, I mean, you may get one or two, but you're going to get brought down real damn quick.